When I was 5 years old, I thought it would be fun to annoy my first floor balcony pass-byers by screaming various hellos and some other arrogant language in Russian, until those same pass-byers, even the grandmas, would throw things at me like groceries and even glass bottles in fear or just plain shock that someone was doing that. Suffice it to say, my experiment went sour when my parents found broken glass and furniture on our balcony. I can't remember what lame story I eventually fabricated to cover up what I'd done, but I do recall clearly that the experience taught me two very important things. The first was never scream hellos at strangers who passed by my first floor balcony. The second was that while it's important to learn from your own mistakes, it's probably a better idea and certainly a much safer one to learn from others. I bring this up because both of these lessons are important to remember when you're trying to decide how to invest. The fact is, when it comes to investing, many of us act like 5-year-olds. That is, we experiment ignorantly and consistently wind up making some terrible mistake that sends us stumbling across the room in financial shock. For the course of this video, we're going to focus on what I consider to be the 6 most shocking mistakes that investors generally make. My hope is that as a result of studying other people's mistakes, you'll be able to avoid the painful and expensive experience of having to learn from your own. So let's get to it. Mistake number 1, becoming an investor before you are organized and have specific goals in mind. There's no getting around it. Before you invest your money, you must invest some of your time. The rule is simple. In order to become a successful investor, you first have to get your values and goals written down on paper and your finances organized. You absolutely must do financial inventory and balance sheet and determine precisely your current net worth. You must also get a good handle on what you earn and what you spend. This is not a guessing game or time for estimates. Remember, until you know where you stand financially, you should not invest in anything. Believe me, I know that doing the foundation work is not nearly as exciting as investing in a hot stock. Resist the temptation. You can't invest successfully without knowing where you are starting from and what your investment goals are. Only after you have figured out these things will you be able to evaluate intelligently the opportunities for you and figure out whether and how they might make sense for you. Mistake number 2, not taking credit card debt seriously. Credit card debt can be incredibly destructive. Why do I say this? First of all, carrying credit card debt is stressful. Knowing that you owe a company money and that you are being charged as much as 30% interest rate on the outstanding balance will make any lay person anxious. Second, the anxiety never goes away. It's there all day, every day until the debt is paid off. And not only does it hang over you like a cloud, it hits you right in the face every month when the bill shows up. Don't wait to find out about your credit record. Nothing is worse than finding out that you have credit problems just when you're about to make a major purchase, when you're ready to buy your first home. Find out your credit rating now. Don't wait to be surprised. Go get a copy of all your credit reports from all 3 main credit reporting companies, Equifax, Experian, and TransUnion. If you discover inaccuracies or mistakes in any of your credit reports, get them fixed immediately. It's fairly simple and companies will tell you exactly what's required. If you discover that you've got some legitimate black marks in your credit report, for example, old unpaid bills that you've forgotten about, do whatever you can to correct the situation. In general, that means pay off those old debts and don't let any bills go past due. Beware of companies that say that they can fix a bad credit report for you or give you a new clean one overnight. There is nothing that will fix a bad credit report except the passage of time and consistent record of responsible bill paying and you contacting the credit report companies and working with them to get your credit record clean. Mistake number 3, having a 30-year mortgage. In my opinion, without question, the biggest single scam perpetuated on the American public today is the 30-year mortgage. Say you purchased a home for a $300,000 mortgage that you pay off over a 30-year period. Say the interest rate is 4.5% a year and your monthly mortgage payment is $1,519.98. When all this said and done, you actually will have given the bank more than $547,000. That's almost twice the original loan amount. Why did you spend all that extra money? The answer, of course, is that in addition to repaying the $300,000 principal, you were obligated to pay the bank another $247,000 in interest charges. The same mortgage can be repaid in 15 years. The cost of the home would come to about $413,000. That is still a lot, but it's $143,000 less than what you would have paid in a 30-year mortgage. If you have a 30-year mortgage now, keep it and instead pay off your 30-year mortgage earlier by making additional payments each month. You can arrange this with the bank. I know some of you are probably thinking I've ignored one of the most important aspects of paying off mortgage, the fact that mortgage interest is tax deductible. You probably think that a 30-year mortgage is a great write-off because I talk about it, financial advisors talk about it, real estate gurus even talk about it, and even your friends told you about it. And that's not totally crazy. On average, every $100,000 in mortgage interest you pay, your tax bill will be reduced by $28,500, the average of the U.S. citizen tax bracket. But so what? Since when is it worth it spending an extra $100,000 in interest over the life of your mortgage in order to save $28,000 in tax payments? More than likely, you bought your home because you needed a place to live, not because you needed a great tax write-off. The tax benefit of having ownership are nice, but they don't outweigh the amount you can save by paying off your mortgage earlier. If you need another reason to consider speeding up your mortgage payments, think about this. The faster you pay off your home mortgage, the sooner you can retire. Now, there's some experts who disagree with this philosophy, of course. Indeed, one school might mention that instead of having a 30-year mortgage, you are more likely to have a 40-year mortgage and strive to never pay it off. Well, that sure sounds like a lot of fun, but what person wouldn't look forward to making mortgage payments for the rest of their life just so they can say they have a tax write-off? Even crazier, some financial planners and real estate gurus and even journalists spent the entire real estate boom saying that you should cash out whatever equity you had in your home and invest it in the stock market or more property. In my opinion, this advice can be a little out of touch with reality, especially given the 2008 meltdown of the real estate market. People who treated their homes like wallets and took out every cent of equity were assuming they would simply appreciate their way out of the problem. But no boom market lasts forever, and many of these unfortunate folks, some of whom refinanced again and again with shady adjustable rate loans, faced foreclosures. The reality is that you need a place to live which you can feel safe and happy. Mistake number 4, waiting to buy a house. When I talk to some of my single friends who are in their 20s and 30s or 40s and they're wondering if they should buy a house or condo, many of them wondering if they should hold off buying real estate until they meet Mr. Right or Mrs. Right or get married or are ready to settle down. The answer is clearly no. Don't wait. Do it now. Why the hurry? It's simple. When you own your own home, you're building equity for yourself. When you rent, you're building someone else's equity. In other words, by renting, you make someone else rich. By owning, you make yourself rich. More importantly, you should never put off taking a financial action like buying a house because of something that might happen later, like getting married. When it comes to your finances, you should always live in the now. If you're single and want your own home, why wait for some man to come along? Just go for it. The number one reason people put off buying a home is that they think that they can't afford it. More often than not, they're wrong. While you may need to save up a little for a down payment, this is an achievable goal. Secondly, many people don't realize how much of a house they should get for the equivalent of their current rental payment. To put it into simple words, for every $1,000 you pay in monthly rent, you can afford about $125,000 in a mortgage. And there's something else to think about. You aren't really in the game of building wealth until you get in the real estate game. Real estate is an escalator to wealth. You have to be on it to build wealth. Mistake number 5, speculating with your money instead of investing. Everyone who steps foot in a Las Vegas casino may potentially be a winner, but show me a gambler and I will show you a future loser. That's because when it comes down to gambling, the odds are always in the favor of the house. You can possibly get lucky, but people who constantly gamble eventually lose. This is true when it comes to investing too. Of course, the investment world calls this speculation instead of gambling, but basically Basically, it means the same thing. Just like a gambler, a speculator is looking for a fast buck. And just like gambling at a casino, you will see speculator get lucky once in a while. However, over time, nothing is worse for your financial security than speculating with your investment money. This should be obvious, but it's not, otherwise millions of Americans wouldn't be speculating in the market every day. Here's the most common way to speculate. Avoid this. Trying to time the market. Trying to time the market does not work. The idea that you're going to figure out when to move stocks, bonds, and other investments to cash to avoid the next market downturn is a myth.
My question is, how do you time the big market moves so well?
The interesting thing is, obviously, we haven't the faintest idea what the stock market is going to do. We haven't ever timed anything. We've never figured out insights into the economy. When I was 11 years old, March 12th, I guess, 1942, at March 11th, I bought stock when the Dow was 90, well, it was 101 in the morning. It was 99 at the end of the day, I think. And, now it's 34,000, or maybe it's 1,000 less than it was on Thursday. I just, it's one decision that it's a good thing to own American business. And, if the Harvard endowment had come to see me and it's 11-year-old and General Motors pension fund or something, and they said, well, no, but we have to have a balance, and we have to maybe have 60%, and then we have to sit around every 3 months and listen to a bunch of managers. They'd have just done better if they'd just taken some darts and thrown them and just said, we're going to be in America 50 years from now and 100 years from now, and we'll do better in stocks than we will in bonds. It's amazing hard people make what a simple game it is. But of course, if they told everybody what a simple game it was, then 90% of the income or more of the people that were speaking would disappear. So it's really a little too much of us to expect of human nature that people will explain why they really aren't adding any value to what you can do by yourself. Or actually, I hate to use the example, but you can't have monkeys throwing darts at the page and take away the management fees and everything. I'll bet on the monkeys, but I don't consider them a superior species, and I don't want them to move next door instead of my next door neighbor or anything. But that is the way it's just the way it has to be.
Here's the plain truth. You cannot successfully time the market. At best, you may get lucky once. What works when you invest in any market is time in the market, not timing the market. Mistake number 6, paying too much in taxes. The biggest enemy of your financial future is taxes. Yet when I review financial situation of new clients, you'd be surprised how often it turns out that their previous accountants never did any tax planning for them. When you're building an investment portfolio, it's absolutely crucial that you take into consideration potential tax liability. Your money grows significantly faster when profits are not drained away by taxes. Always seek to minimize your taxes when investing. Ideally, when you speak about investments that are tax deferred, and make a certain way to watch your capital gains taxes. People often make a financial mistake, get bad advice, and then give up on their dream of financial security. Don't let this happen to you. You now know more than most people know about how to avoid most common mistakes that can be made with your investment. Are there any pitfalls out there? Absolutely. Might you stumble into some of them? Possibly. But don't let that keep you from getting where you want to go. As you continue on your journey and acquire more knowledge of and control over your finances, you will start to be able to spot bad money decisions a mile away. It will be as if you have this huge sign that says, kiss your money goodbye. Yes, you should be careful, but don't be overcautious. By learning to avoid the common pitfalls investors make, you can minimize your risk and put yourself on the road to financial security. But remember, the biggest mistake you can make is not to become an investor at all. And please remember that every single market correction and crash we have ever seen has been followed by a recovery. If you enjoyed this video, like, share, and subscribe if you haven't already. I'd love to hear from you how you are investing and what kind of things you like to invest in. Please send your comments under this video or find me on Facebook. My name is kind of a long one, but make sure to find me on Facebook. I post a lot of content on Facebook as well. And thanks for watching.